Alright, this lecture is going to be focusing on medical terminology in reference to the different cavities of the human body. So, just starting off, we want to make sure everybody knows what is a cavity. Aside from being something in your tooth from eating too many sweets, it's a general term that refers to any hole or hollow area. Think about the cavity in your tooth, it's actually a hole, and that's why you have to get a filling, it fills in the hole. So your whole body internally is divided into different cavities. So how does that apply to cavity? If you think about it, if you took out all your organs, things like your skull would make a cavity. Your brain happens to fill that cavity. Or your rib cage makes a cavity in your chest that's filled with lungs, heart. And so that's how it kind of fits into the different body structures. The body is divided into two main cavities, the dorsal and the ventral. From prior lectures you'll have learned that the dorsal part of your body is the back and the ventral part of your body is the front. So obviously dorsal is going to be things on the back side, ventral is going to be things on the front. Now in terms of the dorsal cavity, there's the cranial cavity, that's what I was talking about earlier, your skull, right? And that's where the brain is contained. And then the spinal cavity, and it goes along the spinal cord and vertebrae. And that's where all that goes into. Now the ventral cavities get much more complicated. Again, these are the ones on the front, and there are two major ones, just like there are with the dorsal cavity. Now the two main ones in the ventral cavity are the thoracic cavity, right? This is your thorax or your chest. And then the abdominopelvic cavity. That's just like it sounds, the abdomen and the pelvis. So the thoracic cavity is divided up again into two more. The pleural cavity, and that's where the lungs are contained. And then the pericardial cavity, where the heart is. Remember, peri means around, cardio means heart. And going back to plural, pleura refers to the lungs. So all of that makes sense. The abdominopelvic cavity is also divided into two major cavities. One is the abdomen, or abdominal cavity, right? That's where your abdomen is. It's where it contains most of your viscera. So your stomach, your intestines, things like that. And then the pelvic cavities around your pelvis, right? That bone, and it contains some internal major organs such as reproductive organs, bladder, rectum, things along those lines. And that's it for cavities.